Next constitutional body is Public Service Commissions. Public Service Commissions. Public Service Commissions. Listen carefully. We have a word called bulwarks of democracy. Bulwarks, B-U-L-W-A-R-K-S. Bulwarks of democracy. Certain bodies really uplift democracy, really protect democracy, really ensure democracy. In a democracy, for example, we need free and fair elections. So, election commission is called bulwark of democracy. In a democracy, we want people's representatives impartially should rule. For that reason, elections are the backbone of democracy. In a democracy, bureaucracy should be non-political. Bureaucracy should be neutral. Neutral means they keep on following rules and regulations, try to work to support the democratic credentials rather than a political party. For a neutral bureaucracy, we want a neutral organization as an appointing body. These organizations, if they have constitutional status, they can enjoy autonomy. Such organizations are called public service commissions. Such organizations are called public service commissions. In fact, public service commissions are also called as bulwarks of democracy. In the same way, Comptroller and Auditor General (CAG) ensures transparency. If the government is at fault, if there is a corruption in the system, CAG will highlight that. So, transparency is also a backbone of democracy. For that reason, the institutions like CAG, Election Commission, Public Service Commission, all these things are considered as bulwarks of democracy. Whenever you are writing about these institutions, you should also use the word they come under bulwark of democracy. Okay, now try to understand. Union Public Service Commission, Joint Public Service Commission and State Public Service Commissions. Union Public Service Commission, Joint Public Service Commission and State Public Service Commissions. They are all constitutional bodies because they originate from the constitution. UPSC at the central level, JPSC for 2 or more states and State Public Service Commission at the state level. For every Public Service Commission member and chairman, the tenure is 6 years. The tenure is 6 years. For UPSC, it is 6 years or 65 years. For UPSC, it is 6 years or 65 years. For Joint Public Service Commission or State Public Service Commission, it is 6 years or 62 years, whichever is earlier. The maximum age limit is, the maximum period is 6 years or 62 years for JPSC, Joint Public Service Commission and State Public Service Commission. Whereas for UPSC, it is 6 years or 65 years, whichever is earlier. And remember, in public service commissions, there is a rule in the constitution. At least half of the PSC members, at least half of the Public Service Commission members should have 10 years experience in the government. They should come from the government, at least 10 years experience in the government. Means minimum 50% of Public Service Commission members should be from government service. They should have held their office for at least 10 years. Why this rule? This rule is because government servants, they know how the government system functions. They know what merit is required. They know what procedures are required, and they should have some they will also have some qualification. Definitely, they will ensure some merit in the Public Service Commissions. This is the rule. At least half of the Public Service Commission members should be from the government service. Okay, they should have government service for minimum of 10 years. but nowhere it is mentioned that whether the government servant should be IAS officer or IPS officer or attender. Any post in the government, they have not mentioned a particular position. Any government servant who have 10 years of experience, minimum half of them in any public service commission membership, minimum half of the membership should be government servants who have hold their office for at least 10 years in order to ensure merit and a systematic thing in the public service commissions. And there is a debarment after public service membership. In the after employment, if a chairman of UPSC is retired, if a chairman of UPSC gets retired, he should not take up any other further employment. If a member of UPSC gets retired, he can become a chairman of UPSC and no other employment. If a chairman of State Public Service Commission retired, he can become a member of UPSC or chairman of UPSC and no other employment. If a member of State Public Service Commission retired, he can become a chairman of State Public Service Commission or other State Public Service Commissions, member of UPSC or chairman of UPSC and no other employment. This ensures functional autonomy in the Public Service Commission membership. The reason is if Public Service Commission members are lured for future employment, tomorrow any government minister or high functionary might influence the Public Service Commission in its functioning. So, Public Service Commission members are debarred to enter into other employment in the public sector after retirement. And Public Service Commission members are removed by the President. It might be UPSC, JPSC or SPSC. See, UPSC chairman and members are appointed by the President. Joint Public Service Commission chairman and members are appointed by the President. State Public Service Commission chairman and members are appointed by the Governor. UPSC, JPSC appointments are done by the President. For State Public Service Commission, it is done by the Governor. Whereas removed by the President. Everybody will be removed by the President. All will be removed by the President. Here you should understand a point. In the State Public Service Commission, suspension can be done by the Governor. Suspension can be done by the Governor, but removal can be done only by the President. Suspension can be done by the Governor, only removal can be done by the President. Then how they will be removed? Any Public Service Commission member. There is only one ground. Proved misbehavior. There is only one ground called proved misbehavior. And this proved misbehavior should be inquired by the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court should recommend that there was an established proved misbehavior and he should be removed. Then President will remove. Why this proved misbehavior Supreme Court inquiry? Because Supreme Court as an impartial body can do better inquiry on Public Service Commission members' misbehavior. It should not be on political grounds, because tomorrow some political influence might come in the Public Service Commission membership. For that reason, only on one ground proved misbehavior on the inquiry conducted by the Supreme Court. Okay. In the state level, suspension can be done by the Governor. In the state level, suspension can be done by the Governor, but not removal. All removal can be done only by the President. And Union Public Service Commission have multifarious functions. It will conduct the examinations. It will recommend methods of recruitment. It will formulate methods of recruitment. It will assist the State Public Service Commissions if needed. It will assist the State Public Service Commissions if needed. And it will also help certain pension related crimes, disciplinary related actions and other issues relating to the central government employees if it was asked. And more importantly, if President asks any advice from the Public Service Commission UPSC, it has to give. And in the same case, if the governor asks anything to the State Public Service Commission, it has to give the advice. And in the same way, if per annum, every year, the UPSC will submit its report to the President. President in turn will submit the report to the Parliament. Every year UPSC will submit its annual report to the President. President in turn send the report to the Parliament. Article 315 to 323. Article 315 to 323 deals with Public Service Commission. The idea of Public Service Commission in India was started with Montague-Chelmsford reforms 1919 or Government of India Act 1919. Montague-Chelmsford reforms 1919, and Public Service Commission was established in India in 1921. After Government of India Act 1935, it's called Federal Public Service Commission. After independence, it was renamed as UPSC. Union Public Service Commission. Before that, it is called Federal Public Service Commission. Before that, it was started by Montague-Chelmsford reforms 1919. Okay, at that time, our civil service exam is called Indian Civil Services Examination. And before that, ICS exam is only conducted in Britain. Slowly, simultaneously, they have conducted in India and Britain. Okay. After independence, ICS exam is renamed as Civil Services, Indian Civil Services, and this Indian Administrative Service, Indian Police Service concept we have borrowed from Britain, but they were renamed. And for Civil Services Examination, it is UPSC. For Senior Scientific Service Officers exam, for CAPF, Central Armed Police Forces, for all the top level exams, Assistant Provident Fund Commission exam, UPSC. For Group 3, Group 4, Group C, Group D, and that too up to the level of income tax inspectors, you have another examination body called SSC, Staff Selection Commission, that will conduct examinations for the lower rang government servants. Even that exams are equally tough. Civil service exam is more analytical based, those exams are more factual based. SSC is not a constitutional body. Staff Selection Commission, it will conduct examinations for the government staff, central government staff. For officers, UPSC. Up to income tax inspector, we have SSC, Staff Selection Commission. So, UPSC will recruit meritorious people for high level echelons. The concept of civil services and the examination pattern initially we have borrowed from Britain, and in Britain they used to say merit and logic are the two essential requirements to write this exam, merit and logic. And in fact, we are following meritorious system. In America earlier they used to follow a system called spoils system. In Britain they used to follow a system called merit system, which we have borrowed from Britain. Whereas in America there is a system called spoils system. That means if new political party comes, new government comes into power, they will select their own candidates in bureaucracy also. There is no merit. This system is called spoils system. So for example, if I become a minister, if I like you, if you follow my ideology, I will make you Indian Administrative Service. That's called spoils system. There are two types of systems, spoils system and merit system. India follows merit system, which India borrowed from Great Britain, the civil services model. And recent past, there is one more concept that is coming in the examination, in the civil services mode, not in the examination, but in the recruitment, called lateral entry. Lateral entry concept. See, civil servant is considered as Jack of all trades but master of none. Jack of all trades but master of none. So, for example, tomorrow you are an IT secretary, day after tomorrow you are a health secretary, after that you are a secretary in higher education. You might not have domain knowledge which is required for the post. For that reason, to recruit experts for a temporary period from in the JS level, experts from outside in the joint secretary level, lateral entry concept have started. Lateral entry concept have started. So, let us see how it is going to work. It is premature to decide whether it is good or bad. Those who are in civil services, they say experience and acumenship, the government knowledge cannot be replaced, whereas the people who are supporting lateral entry says yes, experts will come, definitely there will be an added advantage to the government. And one more thing about UPSC will also conduct interviews for promotion, this conferred IAS. For example, group 1 officers, state government will select some group 1 officers for conferred IAS. There are two types of IAS, one is direct IAS, second is conferred IAS. For conferred IAS also UPSC will conduct the interviews. This is about Union Public Service Commission